you don't always have, that's the great thing about healing and hard thing about healing from trauma, that is a huge step, is you should choose your own pace, right? And that level of agency is hard to realize, right? And it's one of the big steps. And by the way, I take trauma pretty, let's think about it this way, because this, I'm mostly going to teach yoga today, but, and I'm not going to say this in this recording because this is too weird, but I get to say weird things to all of you because you come every week, right? So you can like take my language with a grain of salt. Let's think about trauma or the mind-body relationship, which is, you know, trauma happens, or some sort of certain threats to the mind-body relationship, especially when they're mortal, transcend past, present, and future. And that means that our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, touches the past, the present, and the future. Right. And that's something that I think is too weird to say to psychologists that I often talk to, but literally your nervous system is not in one plane of time. Right. That's right. And that's one of those things you go like, huh. That doesn't, I mean, it's actually just a fact. It doesn't mean my mind can access clearly the past, but obviously I can through memory. And clearly memories aren't just mental projections, because when you hear a song, you can remember a time, right? When you have a smell, you can remember a whole period, right? Clearly memory is one of the ways that we can access like different planes of time, and it's not just mental, right? And that's one of those things that we should not have to argue about. Right. So Bessel van der Kolk will say things like the body keeps the score, meaning that he wants more approaches to the healing of trauma to be more body based, which is obviously something that I think too. Right. And that's why he and I are often in discussion about this, because it's like, how do you create a way, I hate these words, an intervention, right, that allows for a more body to, or a complementary body to mind approach to what's happening. But let's define for a second trauma as the mind's, traumatic injury, beyond just purely physical, as the mind's inability to be able to stay grounded in the presence of emptiness that is revealed by the traumatic experience. Right? I'm going to say that again. The mind's remember, I think the mind's the last to the party, and your mind is the organ of disconnection. Start like stringing beads together with things you've heard over time. The mind's inability to stay grounded in the silence that's constantly present in existence. Right? So much so that it can imprint the nervous system, right? So the change of the relationship to whatever we mean by the adjective emptiness, or what I think one of the reasons why a body approach is so powerful, because if you change your relationship to the sensation of space, you change the relationship to your sensation of emptiness. And if you realize that you can have the sensation of emptiness and space without having to control it by the mind, you've started to heal, right? What the hell does any of those adjectives mean? You don't have to worry. The great thing about yoga is you get to practice this type of realization from body to mind. So as you sit, think about the idea of what's called centering. You get quieter, you start to feel you sink into and let a different part of your nervous system, not your judging mind, but a different part of your nervous system start to experience. without having to control it all the way. But asana is the attempt to let be true the uncontrollable part of experience, while simultaneously exercising the body in that space, right? So centering is an attempt at grounding while not restricting the radical freedom of your existence, right? So feel your feet and your sitting bones. You're starting to center. Those are literally, that's why I say like the inner heel, right? You're starting to center, feel your sitting bones. We're trying to get the organ of connection to feel the support of what surrounds it. Remember, all your nervous system or all of your central nervous system pretty much emanates and travels through your spine to your brain. So by creating legs on a stool like your sitting bones and your feet, you're trying to come towards the midline. And then you start to introduce other sensations. So soften, some of you already closed your eyes. Soften the skin on your face. Soften the temples, the jaw, the inside of the mouth. I keep calling this a door opening. Instead of this being a closing down or a restricting, you're feeling your body and you're opening the door. And your mind is staying calm because your body's staying steady. Your mind doesn't have to be in charge. And you're practicing this in your home where conditions of safety are more readily available. Hopefully. So start to feel the breath into each nostril, into each lung, connected to awareness of each sitting bone, to awareness of each heel. You get in this space to reach for life. Lift your sternum. Keep the lips together, teeth slightly apart. Stay hollow. Stay grounded. Now, if you can, and it's relatively easy, bring your hands together in prayer. Again, notice your hands typically are in line with your spine. So it's actually being an outer manifestation of your midline. So when you equalize the pressure between your hands, when you allow for not just pressure, but the sensation of skin expanding, you're turning on the light. You're filling that expanded awareness with the inhalation and exhalation. This space, this moment, you are in charge. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Good. And then release. Bring your hands down to your thighs, palms up. Let there be lightness and softness on your palms. Let them be supported by your legs. Activate expansion by lifting your sternum. Sink the mind down towards the earth by dropping your chin. Let the breath nudge your rib cage. You're in charge again, except you're not. You're part of something. It's so simple, it's easy to overlook. For the mind. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. I find the lift of the sternum and what it does to my rib cage to be very willful. Okay. It's an activating energy. And that's why this movement moves awareness to the limbs. Right. But I have to receive it. So I drop my chin to make sure I'm not judging. Right. I want to feel my vibrancy entering the world without judgment. This is a bandha and it matters. It lines things up. Not everything. It lines something up. Go seek. You're the explorer. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So there's a really famous poem by Rilke about a Grecian statue. And it's an amazing description of the life coming through the rock, right? And it's beautiful. And it's like, you know, that's a worth just, you know, I can't remember the name of the poem right now, but like, it's worth reading. And then the last line of the poem is, and this should change your life. Okay. And I just love it. And it's a really famous poem because it's such a non sequitur coming out of nowhere, except it's not at all. Right? One of the things that I wonder about myself is, what am I going to allow to change me? Right? What sensations? And I would often, when I would teach teachers, I'd say, so I wish you the strength to let yourself be changed. Right? So your mind has a certain way that it creates safety. Right? Are you sure that's the only way? Sit up straight into, so I was thinking about this line, and this should change your life. And I had this happen this weekend in my yoga practice. So everyone soften your jaw and the inside of your mouth. Okay, you might not feel what I feel, but I think you probably do. Right? Does anyone feel not just relief in your jaw, so your lips together, teeth slightly apart? I can feel where my face is better. I can feel where the sides of my neck is better. I can feel my outline better. This should change your life. But how is it going to change my life? I don't know. That's up to you. The fact that the quiet part of me is not vulnerable, but actually shows me my boundary, this should change your life. The quiet part of me is what gets sacrificed when I'm in relationship to other people. Huh, this should change my life. Fact that my spine can touch the space around it, like the tree from 20 feet, this should change my life. What's this guy saying? All right, let's move around again. Well, let's go for the lightness, like I always get to, right? Because, oh, my mind tends to squish the space out of life, right? It judges the space out of life. So the freedom my mind brings me comes from deadening my life force. For me, right? All my inorganic thoughts squeeze, right? I can imagine things I can't get to, like a still pond in India somewhere, right? But that's not living energy, right? So I'm thinking really about trying to get it. So in that little bit of jump, right? I want a little bit of jump, maybe a little bit of like, shit, it's my life, right? All the things, right? And then I'm going to come forward again. And then this next time I'm going to go back and I'm going to like synchronize the lift of my right arm as I go back. And then I'm going to exhale and come forward. You mean I get to be in sync? Holy cow. My mind's never in sync. I'm going over to the side and I'm opening up again. And then I'm going over it. It's like, I get to be in sync, for God's sakes. Right? Like, what the heck? The sensation of space. What if it, and what's unknown or not quite seen, what if it doesn't have to just be interpreted by the mind? Right? Right? As unknown. What if it's a sensation? Right? Up, down, turn, lengthen, down through the sitting bones, up towards the ceiling. Wait, you mean my body gets to be part of this too? Holy cow. Turn, lengthen, down, up, expand, right? Oh, I'm just trying to get like the fact that I take up space, right? My mind flattens the space, compresses the space when it tries to control it, right? If my safety is going to be dependent on controlling the space right around me when I'm in my yoga practice, that's probably not going to be that functional, right? I'm just trying to do yoga here, for God's sake. I'm not trying to do anything scary. I'm coming forward onto my elbows. I'm putting my hands together and I'm revisiting the midline because I know the midline matters. So I'm just going to sit here and feel where I've been, combine it with my sensation of the midline, soften the inside of my mouth, lift the center of my sternum, drop my shoulder blades, spread across my sacrum. Suddenly I'm coming into form. Here comes my will. Here comes my activation, right? I am not exhausted by my activation. Not all of me is in the effort. The things that sensations that come from my efforts are only part of what I am. So I breathe. So I let in while I'm feeling more feedback and my midline. I let in that there's more to me than what is reflected back by my effort. Good. If I squeeze shit, I actually lose connection to the world, right? The mind is going to squeeze, lifting up again, right? Remember, I really think that space in your low back, if you sit a lot, is really important, right? So now as I could just on the outside of this action, just be coming forward, lifting up and doing that, right? But now I'm gonna, as I come forward and right as I lift up, I'm gonna try to hit my sitting bones in the opposite direction. What? How do I stay heavy in my sitting bones and lift my sternum, right? Right, well, let's do this the opposite way. If you can lift up, even if you can't get off the ground, right? Lift up. And then as you set yourself back down, resist dropping with your sitting bones. So as if you're setting yourself back down, but your midline is staying lifted. And then here comes the kerplunk. Then I'm back into full throttle of gravity. Remember, I was doing yoga. I was doing upward facing dog. I'm going to do this again in a second. I was doing upward facing dog, and I was struggling with it because of my fusion in my upper back. And my yoga teacher says to me, Matt, Joe just says, change your relationship to gravity. I say, what? I'm practicing that ever since. I'm going to lift up again. Part of me is going to follow gravity, right? Part of me, as I come down, is going to resist gravity. So I'm going to have different layers of me having different relationships to gravity. Okay. So I go up. I let something drop. I resist. And as I keep the resistance, does anyone feel their spine longer? I do. And then here comes the drop. So what was so interesting to me is I remember when I was talking to Joe about that, when I'm doing upward facing dog, right? I'm out of my chair, I'm on the mat. She tells me to change my relationship to gravity, fricking roll over and go, my God, gravity's constant. Like you can't change a relationship to a constant, for God's sakes. That'd be my mind again, right? And then I started to see all these little prick holes in how my relationship to gravity would change. All right, so here I go up again, right? I got length on my spine. As I drop and sit on my sitting bones, I'm going to keep something lifted, right? And then I'm going to lightly release and quickly go to my here, to my legs, hands on my legs, so I can keep the length for just a little bit longer. So I can keep the sensation of space for just a little bit longer. And then I'm going to collapse. Gonna try it again. By the way she taught me this was in, or showed me this was in Baddha Konasana. All right, so I'm going to lift up again. I'm going to resist. I'm going to find a way to not just do, don't do what I'm doing. I'm going to find a way not to over collapse. I'm going to find a way to support the length so I have both. And breathe. And then I'm going to collapse back into the space. I don't know about you, but that takes my breath away, because I think that in order to keep something going up, as I let gravity go down, I think I overwork my diaphragm, because that's the intersection between the subtle body and the physiological body. And so I lose my breath a little bit as I'm resisting gravity. So I'm going to move a little bit again. Now remember, I think someone that's been traumatized has lost their trust of space, of emptiness, that the mind, it's all or nothing for the mind. And the mind's always going to try to control the sensation of emptiness and space from outside to in, right? And that's not actually going to work, right? So, and then keep opening the space again. So I'm following Renee right now, right? I saw Renee just naturally start feeling a certain sensation, right? And it struck me as smart that I get why she's actually moving right here, right? I get it, because the thoughts compress the space. So you having to listen to me actually changes the sensation of freedom that actually remains in the body, regardless of my level of physical ability, right? That this deeper level, accessible to me if my mind can quiet down. Physical ability is only one doorway to it. Take your legs wide. Again, we're like, because I can tell my legs, they've been spastic more this weekend. So I'm just going back and forth, using a little bit of rhythm here, leaning on one leg here. I'll back up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to like make my legs become part of the movement in a more grounded fashion, right? So coming over, making sure this goes up so I feel the life force more, right? And I'm just trying to go, oh, my legs, my groins, my legs. And then I'm gonna just at first just do it like it's not that important. It's just about the movement. And then this next one, I'm gonna lean over and push down through my heel. I'm gonna give it more boundary. Then I'm gonna do it the other way, right? And I'm going to start building a yoga pose with shifting of gravity. You pretend we're sledding around corners if you want. Whatever starts making you feel some freedom, but stay grounded, right? The body guarantees the present. It guarantees it. Bring your legs back together. My will is going to want to make the world smaller in order to control it, which is a very effective strategy. So I want to do a back bend now where I'm in the midline. So my focus of my mind is staying in less space than way out here, right? I'm in less space, but the back bend's going to open the chest while I'm in a smaller space. Back and open, right? And then back through, forward, right? Now, before I back bend this time, again, I'm going to try to change my relationship to gravity. So I'm going to hit my sitting bones down. I'm going to lift my lower abdomen up. So part of me is falling with gravity. Part of me is lifting up through gravity. As I hit down, and the hitting down, I want to include my heels in, right? Not just my sitting bones. the lifting up. So part of me is following, part of me is resisting. And then I'm going to go back. And as soon as I go back, the resisting part gets lost a little bit. I've got to find it. So I'm using my arms on my legs to find the down. And then go back. Good. And then release. So just because as I start teaching, all these lines start coming into my head. Okay. And I was watching this video of B.K. Iyengar, and you're seeing an application of this. He says a more refined yogi knows when to follow what's natural in nature and when to resist what's natural. And they're often happening simultaneously, right? So we're in the middle of doing a back bend where you're following gravity, resisting gravity, right? And making it become more whole, because the resistance and the following make holistic poses. Okay, so we're going to try that again, right? So already by doing this in a back bend, right, I'm wanting to pay attention to the midline. So I'm making my space smaller, right? So I'm going to put my legs in for a second. Now I'm going to feel the release of the relief of having boundary, right? I'm constantly needing boundary around my bladder. So I'm actually just like feeling that. And I want this sensation to be part of my pose. So, right. So sometime if you have a belt at home, you could do a whole yoga practice, whether I'm teaching it or not. You could have your legs belted until I ask you to take them wide, right? Because this will give you a quality of sensation. So this midline, so my mind's a little bit feeling calmer because I've got the world constraint, right? I'm going to go, my sensation seems like it's in smaller space, so my mind feels a little bit safer. And then go back. And as I grab the fall here, I'm already starting to activate my sitting bones down and my lower abdomen up. And when I hit my sitting bones down and my lower abdomen up, I find where my heels are. I don't want to forget my legs. And then I'm going to switch. And as I fall back to the balance point, I'm going to lose the downward action, right? So then I'm going to find it as I start to lift skyward, right? So I'm putting my hands on my thighs. I'm pushing down and reconnecting to the down, invigorating the up, and following it through my core. So then it can spread like sunshine here, out through my chest. Part of me follows the dispersion. Part of me follows the earth, changing your relationship to gravity. Good. And then release. So now this is getting so energetic, it's making me thirsty, okay? Because there's so much energy happening, right? For me. So I'm going to take a sip of water, which generally you don't want to do in a yoga class with a really snobby teacher, right? Right? All right, so now I want to make sure with all this focus, I'm keeping the fun. So like I'm basically popping around again. I want there to be fun in here as I focus and allow my mind to feel like it's in control. Because it is partly. All right, so then I'm going to go here again. Does anyone, once you go to the grounded space, do you feel how the inhalation expands the space on the inhalation? Can you receive it up through your chest more consciously? And then can you exhale a narrower line down towards the earth on exhalation? And then when you exhale the narrower line towards earth, does you go up a little bit? What the hell? Kind of like this. Makes me feel like I might kind of be a little bit more in charge than I thought. All right, here I go again. I'm going to find the earth. I'm going to hit my sitting bones down. I'm going to have follow, not just assert down. I get to follow the down, add my will, and find the up. This is what's so important about upward facing dog, right? You come forward, you find the earth, and then you lift your sternum up. So we're like watching upward facing dog as a way to prepare for a back bend, right? So I'm going back again. I'm coming forward. I'm grounding. I'm hitting down, and I'm lifting up, right? Okay, so that simple sensation ain't so simple. And it's going to have to happen in the fuller back bend. So now I'm going to go back. Well, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to get it connected to my whole body. The change of gravity is going to throw off my mind. So I'm going to lose the down a little bit. I hit the back of my chair. I find the ground, and I separate different layers or sheaths of my body as I go back and open. Good. And then what the hell? I think I'm going to include my arms. I'm going to come forward. I'm going to take one arm up and do the same thing, right? Right, and go, oh, I get to include my body. And then I'm going to go down. I'm going to go, wait, I don't have to be so freaking focused. I get to include more of my body, right? And I'm coming forward, and then I'm coming up. Now, those of you that can do both arms without flipping right over, right, go ahead. I'm not gonna. I flipped over a few times, right? I can a little bit, but this is, I gotta like, my mind knows to be afraid here. Like, if I go too hard over with my brakes locked, I'm over, right? So I know that boundary. So that's why I do one arm at a time. I keep the energy keeping me down, right, on my leg. I go up, right, and then back, and then up and back. And then I'm going to pop around again. Because damn it, the space I need for nourishment is the freedom that comes from lightness, right? Lightness just happens to scare my mind, right? So I got to figure out how to have lightness and stay grounded. And you thought you were just doing asana, right? You were never just doing asana. Not in my class, right? Take your legs wide. So now I want more space again. Oh, I like that, right? I'm going to learn to fall in love with different sensations. I'm going to make games out of it, right? I'm going to figure out boom, 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 boom. I'm going to like start making connections, right? No one's clapping their hands and hitting their thighs. Damn it. Do you think I'm doing that just because I'm weird? Yes, I am. Do you think maybe it has a function? That I'm not just stupid and weird? Right? Bring your legs together. I've taught bizarre clapping before, right? I know I have, right? Because I used to start my yoga practice because this was a way to find my midline, right? Do you see how I went slow there? I brought all the energy of my space toward a singularity of clap. This next time, I'm not just going to bring my hands together and bring my thighs together, but I'm not going to move my thighs. Singularity of clap. Everything's going to go wide, come to the midline. You mean I'm in charge of that? You're freaking right, Yar. You get to bring all of you into singularity. Wide open lift, Bring all of you into the midline. Feel the echo of that clap. Come forward, find your sitting bones. Put the clap between your two sitting bones. What? Who? You ever heard the thing? What's the line I've taught before? Do you know the sound of one hand clapping? Right? But this clap, to try another like attempted line by wiser people than me, listen to the clap with your third eye. Unfortunately, the clap has been co-opted by trite new age crap. Okay, so I'm going wide. I'm touching the space around me. I'm going to bring more. I'm going to go slow because it's easier for my mind to follow slow. I'm going to bring more of me towards the midline. Right? Right. So I'm going to try it again. So I'm trying to bring in more as I stay outward. I'm bringing part of me inward. Right. On this next one, I'm going to clap. Right. Ooh, bad one. I got to get it better. More of me. There, I got that one. Now, I'm going to stay with the clap. And I'm going to come forward on my sitting bones. I'm going to use my past to center my present. I'm leaning forward because I'm about to do a willful pose. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to touch my expansion. I'm going to bring it to the midline with a slow clap, a silent clap. I'm going to make it outward. I'm going to do it again. I'm feeling my thighs down now. I'm feeling more, right? Got to get a better one. I do better when I go slow. Now I'm going to come forward on my sitting bones. I'm going to use the sound of the clap, the explosion of the clap, to lift my chest up in up dog. Okay, so I'm going to feel down. When I go to the activation, I'm going to use the memory of the clap. Up. It was never just about your will. Good, and then release. So what's interesting about the way muscles control the present is they make it seem as if the control is the beginning. It's not the beginning. So I'm saying something about trauma here. Okay, so when I can, before I activate the pose, if I can know that I'm going back in my past to the sound of the clap, I'm going to where I'm ready for it, and then the striking of it coming to existence is beginning to mirror the lift in my sternum. And then the inhale, and then the drop, and the collapse, and then the back. And I'm going to go through this again. And now I can already tell I'm going to do a better pose if I stay connected to the inside edge of my legs. I don't know if that's true about you. So I'm going from here to here. I'm going to bring my hands back. And I'm going to use that memory in the past to start the lift of my chest. Action. There it goes. As soon as I hit the back of my wheelchair, I'm going to hear the clap again, and I'm going to shift and pivot and open. Remember, trauma somehow dissolves the relationship between past, present, and future. Mortal threat changes the configuration of the brain. So I'm practicing memory, shock of the clap, grounded in the movement of my body. Right? And here's the clap again. And I'm using the clap, the shock of the sound to initiate the expansion, as opposed to just startling. I'm coming forward again, finding the earth and the down, and then using the shock of the startle of the clap to initiate the lift in my chest. Initiate, start falling back into what's behind you, ground, initiate with the startle, and open up. And then I can know that I never lose my feet. So I'm coming forward again. Here's the earth, lift. Instead of thinking about it, the clap just in my chest, the legs were always there while the clap happened. So my feet are always there. And then open at the point of will with the clap. The mind gets stuck in the unknown present when it thinks it's in charge. It gets stuck. It gives up the sensation of unity when it thinks it initiates in the present. It never was in charge of the present. Holy cow. Good. And then release. So I'm going to find my midline again, because those are big thoughts for me. I'm going to find my grounding again. Make the space smaller by my own volition. I'm going to hum. All those back bends make me hum. Can you hear it? Let the previous poses imprint your sensation in your midline. Wish for you the strength to be changed by your own yoga practice during your yoga practice. I'm feeling the hum of the effort, but I'm staying grounded. And I'm going to make sure my breath gets more conscious. I'm in charge. Take my head back because I want to feel, you know how you lean back and let sunshine come on your face? Sometimes, well, I'm going to do that here. I'm going to stay grounded. I'm going to lift my face skyward and let light in. Not just a mental sense of light from the center of my chest, from the earth. I'm gonna let not space before light. Good. And then so there's a song by a really young group from the University of Minnesota called Hippocampus, which is a part of your brain, right? And the tendency is when we go in, for me at least, when I go inward and feel a sense of space, it tends to seem like the space is dark, right? The sensation of space seems to be dimmer than the sensation of my action. So the line in the song, he's trying to, at 20, write about his girlfriend who's overly jealous, right? Space is all the light we need. So sit for a second and center. As you let the emptiness be full, so I'm like lifting my chest slightly and I'm grounding my arms on the table. I'm softening my jaw and my lips. We're preparing for a version of Shavasana. Not yet though, don't go to Shavasana. Space, freedom is all the light we need. So I'm going to breathe into that. And then I'm going to come back, and I wanted to twist once before Shavasana. So I know that I've taught a bizarre class when I scared Angelique's dad out of the frame. Right? Inhale up, exhale wide, exhale this side, ground, follow the earth, resist the gravity, lift your chest. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Whoa. And don't forget that little bit of fun in here, that little bit of bounce. Just don't let the bounce steal from your sitting bones and feet. Good. And then release. Back to center. Up. Over. Earth. Space. Rise. Bounce a little bit. Let the space be light, both illuminated and freer. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. Good, and then come on back to center. So this idea of letting there be light that's more than your imagination, it's a hard one. You know, one of the ways I learned it was I've had a lot of students over the years who have cerebral palsy, who are in constant contraction in certain muscles. So imagine trying to feel lightness when you're constantly gripping, okay? And I could spend all my time trying to teach them yoga to get them to ungrip to feel lightness. Or I figured out that what I really did is I needed to have their spine get activated. And it would be helped if I put my hand on their back and push their spine forward in their body. And that actually initiated the emptiness towards light. So when I tell you to let the spine, when you lift your chest, find the quiet by softening the inside of your mouth, but let your upper thoracic, your center of your chest, migrate forward. Take your chin up just a little bit in conjunction with the upper thoracic coming forward. And then collapse. My hands are on the table for balance, right? And then I'm going to do it again. Space and enough activation to remind my mind that there's light there. Otherwise, my mind only accesses the wisdom of the body through imagination. So I'm actually thinking these little things that I'm doing right now matter. And right there, I'm revisiting upward facing dog and the back bend. My elbows on the table are the earth, my sitting bones and my feet. The back of my chair, I'm actually using little movements to remind me of the passage of time. Letting the emptiness that my mind tries to control be freedom and lighter through asana. What the hell? You're the explorer. All right, prepare for Shavasana. I'm gonna sack of potatoes towards the earth, towards my chair. Once you totally let the sack of potatoes go towards the earth gives back. It creates a sense of rising. Oh my goodness. The rising and the falling are simultaneous. Soften around the temples and the skin on the forehead and the jaw and the inside of the mouth. Part of the sack of potatoes. It's because you're always falling, so time shouldn't be so linear for your mind makes it linear. You're always falling and you're always rising. So as I'm a sack of potatoes hitting the floor, I'm also letting my skin emanate relief towards the sky, towards outward. So Shavasana is a balancing pose between inward and out. And I get to follow what's already here. Feel your breath. Don't change it. You can't not change it. That should make you smile. Think your body. Let it show you space. Let it reveal the lightness of the space. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation. Slightly longer exhalation. As you open your eyes, let an full spectrum and movement of light in. So, like, let it in and then close it if you need to. And then let it in again. When I open my eyes, it almost makes me want to backbend a little bit because I know what it's like to make my body follow sensations, right? So the sensation of light makes me want to backbend just a little, which makes sense why backbends might help people that are feeling a little blue, right?